everyone, it's Madeline. As you can probably tell from the title of this video, I recently got accepted into the Disney college programs. This vlog will help keep my parents, my friends, and the rest of my family updated with what I'm doing in Disney during my semester, and also for anyone else who just wants some more information from someone who's doing the DCP. So I'm really excited to make this channel to show everyone what I'm doing. I'm going to start with this first video sort of explaining how my application process and everything that went on during then. So the first step to getting into the DCP is submitting an application. When I originally started researching the DCP, it was maybe May or June, so there was no application open yet. I had to wait to apply for the spring semester in fall of 2018. So at that point I started kind of preparing, looking online what people said the first application was, which is an online application that is mainly basics about yourself, how old you are, what school you go to, your GPA, and what jobs you're interested at Disney, and what jobs you've had before. So you can list 5 jobs. I listed 5. And for each job you have to say what you did at that job and also what skills you gained from that job. So I wrote that up over the summer. My mom helped me edit it. So then I had a really good application that I felt good with. So I wrote that up, and then for a while I just had to wait until the applications opened for fall, which was in the very beginning of August of 2018. So I applied. It was during my band camp week because I do color guard. I applied during band camp. It was during one of our breaks. I sat down and I copied and pasted in my jobs. I applied while I was at band because I knew I wanted to apply the first day so that I could get in as soon as I could, hopefully hear back sooner. Though when you apply, it doesn't directly correspond with when you'll hear back. You could apply the first day and hear back the last day. You could apply the last day that applications are open and hear back a couple days afterwards. But I felt I would feel best if I applied as soon as possible, so I did. So I got that in, and I was super excited. I'm in a bunch of Disney online groups, and everyone was saying, I got my phone interview, I got this, all these steps that I was not even to, and for weeks I was just waiting. My application was still in the first step, which is received. So every single day I'd go online, I'd check, it was still in received, still in received. It told me I'd get an email when it moved on. I was nervous, what if it accidentally went to spam and I didn't catch it? Every day checking, still unreceived. So it wasn't till about a month later I heard back. I knew I was still in the running, I could still get it, but I was nervous that maybe something wasn't right, that maybe I wouldn't be selected because so many more people were moving on past me. But after a month, I got an email in the morning that my application was being reviewed. I got so excited, I told everyone I knew, texted my mom, all my friends, and told them I was moving on. Later that day, I heard back that I was selected to do a web-based interview, which means that when they looked at my application of my jobs, they felt confident in me possibly moving into Disney, moving on with Disney. And so you get this web-based interview, which I did later that night when I had time. So the way the web-based interview is, first, it gives you a bunch of multiple choice questions. So one of the questions that I remember was, how do you like working? And it said in teams, I like working alone, working with a few people, or I don't like working. So every question kind of had an answer you could tell you definitely didn't want to answer. You don't want to say, I don't like working when you're applying for a job. So you usually had about 3 answers that all were good answers. None of them you saw out of those 3 and were if I answer this one, I will definitely get in. They were all reasonable answers. Questions about past jobs, just general stuff. And those, I felt really nervous answering because I was I want there to be a right answer, but there is none. You can tell there is none. They just really are asking questions. And also, they want the honest truth, so they don't really want to put a question that everyone's going to answer the exact same stuff. They want honest answers, and they gave you questions you had to answer honestly because there wasn't one answer that stood out at that point. Then later on in the questionnaires, you get to something and you rate stuff from I strongly disagree to I greatly agree. So at one of the questions they use is the customer is always right. So you say, I strongly agree, or I strongly disagree, or somewhere in the middle. And for those questions, I read online that's best to kind of choose one side unless you really are set in the middle. But most questions I tried to answer, yes, I absolutely agree with this, or no, I do not agree with this at all, and kind of put myself on either end so that I had strong answers either way. So right after you finish all the questions, it immediately tells you if you will move on or if you will not move on past that web-based interview. And I got the message that I would move on. I was super excited. And that day I was able to schedule my phone interview. I chose a little less than a week after because I wanted some time to kind of let it sink in, kind of prepare a little bit mentally for the phone interview. I could have chosen the next day. I didn't want to do that. I just wasn't ready for that yet. So I chose a week later. It was a Friday. For the weeks before, I kind of went online, practiced so many questions. If you look out there, there's so many pages that will give you possible questions they could ask you. I went through them. I didn't want to write out answers. Some people online you can look, they have written out answers of what they want to say. I just want a general idea of what I would be asked. I didn't want to sound like a robot when I was answering on the phone interview. I wanted to sound natural, but I didn't want to be blindsided by anything they asked me. I went on Facebook and looked at posts where people said the hardest questions they got asked, kind of looked through those. There's a couple that definitely, like, if I wouldn't have looked at them, I would have been surprised. But when it came to my interview, there was no questions like that. I had pretty basic questions. So my phone interview was scheduled for 10:45, but when you schedule, it says you can get the call up to 15 minutes early or up to 15 minutes late, depending on how their interviews are running at that point. So I was in a study room. It started at 10:30, and I was just sitting on my phone, staring, waiting for a call, starting at 10:30. And at 10:45 on the dot, I got the call, and my heart stopped. So when Disney calls, it comes in as a no caller ID number, so I knew it was them. Got really nervous, but then I answered, said hello. The person interviewing me was named Nicole, and she was so nice, she was so helpful. When I did my phone interview with Disney, it started with some kind of housekeeping. She just wanted to know, make sure the year they had marked me as was correct. I'm a sophomore. They wanted to make sure they had me marked in the correct university, and some generals like that. They wanted to make sure I knew some of Disney's policies. They asked me if I knew what Disney cast members are required to wear at all times, and a lot of questions like that. Just really general yes or no questions about the Disney job. There's a couple, like the clothing. I asked, can you repeat that to me just so I make sure I know the guidelines, but there was no issues there. So we went through those, and then we got to questions. So during my interview, we covered a lot of jobs I was interested in. So even the ones I said I was low interest in. They started with character attendant and the Bippity Boppity Boutique, which are places I said I was really interested in working in. Went through some general questions, went through my experience and talking about that, as well as some jobs I said were my lower interest. I didn't really want to be in quick service food or beverage, but she asked me a couple questions about that. Merchandise was one of my middle jobs. We talked a lot about merchandise, and we talked about custodial, which was also one of my low interest jobs, but I was like, okay, I marked all of these jobs as I would take them if it meant I got into this program because this is something I really want, and those were all jobs I'd be happy with in the end. So we got through the interview. I really can't remember how I did. After I finished it, I was like, I did great, it's perfect, and then I kind of erased it from my memory. I was so nervous. There's points in the interview where I knew I was stuttering, I just couldn't stop. I was so nervous because it's such a big opportunity. I knew it when I was talking, but I got through it. My interview was 22 minutes, and so afterwards I felt really confident, and all they told me really was I'd hear back by November. So they said usually people hear back in 2 to 3 weeks, but it could be until the end of November when you hear back. And I was like, okay, it's like the beginning of September, but okay. I was hoping I wouldn't hear back in 2 months, and luckily I didn't. I heard back exactly a week later. I got an email. I had been waiting all day. So the day before I got accepted, on the Thursday, they announced on Twitter that on Friday they would have a huge wave of acceptances, and I was really excited, really hopeful. They were going in last name alphabetical order, which puts me at Sawyer, which is the end of the alphabet S. So they started sending out their acceptances at around 11 a.m. I was following it religiously on Twitter, checking every 5 minutes. I had notifications on for all the Disney College Program staff as they were talking about sending out applications. And finally got towards 4 o'clock and they were still on letter M. So I was like, okay. I had to go to color guard, which starts at 4:25, and I told everyone. They already knew that I was waiting for an acceptance that day, and every water break, we kept sprinting to my phone, and we'd click the button. It'd be like an email from Panera Bread that I got a coupon, and we're like, ah. So we just kept checking, and then, I don't know, it was maybe a little after 5 o'clock, we ran, and my friend got to my phone first and clicked it. It was like, Madeline, you just got a do not reply Disney email. And I was like, you're kidding. I was so scared. I was like, what if it's an email that said, like, no longer in consideration? That would really kind of suck. We were all so excited. I was like, open it for me. I was covering my face. I was so excited, so scared. And she opens it, and she goes, Madeline, you just got in. And everyone starts screaming. I couldn't believe it. I'm pretty sure my heart stopped. I had my hands over my face. I was like kind of crying, couldn't really talk. Everyone was like, congratulations, give me hugs. And I was frozen. I couldn't believe it, because this has been a huge dream of mine, to be able to go to Disney, to work there, to get that experience. So I was so happy I got it. I called my mom, and I'm pretty sure nothing I said really made sense, because I was like, Mom, I got in. And she was like, do you know anything else? I'm like, I haven't even read the email. I just saw the purple banner that says you're accepted, and everyone in the background was still yelling, so excited. So it was my acceptance day. Later on, I did go on, and I've been accepted as merchandise. So as of now, I am a merchandise cast member, which I'm really happy with. That was one of my middle interest jobs, and all my middle interest jobs were like not my favorites, but ones I would be completely happy in. I'm super happy. I've never really worked merchandise before. I would especially love to work with Disney merchandise. So I'm really excited for that. Though I am hoping later this week, I'll be at auditions. I'll post a video about that. And I would love to be moved to a performer, but if I'm not moved to a performer, I would be completely happy in merchandise. Pretty much anywhere they put me. I can't think of a shop or store I wouldn't love to be in. I signed, I paid the $400 housing fees and programming fees, so I am officially going to be at Disney next semester. My next steps are going to this audition in a couple days, and then kind of working with my university to figure out how I'm gonna manage classes, because I need to keep up full classes with Miami to make sure that I keep all my scholarships, kind of working out how I'm gonna get to Florida in January. I go on the 22nd, figuring out if I go early to stay at the parks with my mom for a couple days, kind of just figuring everything out, putting everything in its place, so that when it comes time to go, I am ready, my school is in order, and I'm just ready. Honestly, if they told me I had to come tomorrow, I could probably pack up and go and live there. I'm so excited. I still have a couple months, but I'm happy I have kind of time to relax, prepare. So yeah, that's my story. I'm really excited to share with you guys my journey, to share with you all the good experiences I have, keep you all in the loop. Feel free to subscribe to my friends and family, or if you're not my friend or family and you want to see my videos, you can subscribe, and thanks for watching. See you later.